you have to really be clear on where your business is going and what you want it to look like.
Yeah.
And any big business, if you're growing and scaling an agency, you can't be talking to clients all day. It's just not realistic.
Welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, brought to you by Dot & Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Here's to Happy Clients.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Again to the Happy Clients Podcast. Today we have Jill and Jenna, the lovely senior department managers. And something that agency owners ask us all the time is, when is the right time to bring in an account manager? And we wish it was really easy to tell you, but there's some things that we need to kind of understand or uncover before we know that it is the right time.
Yeah.
So what are some of those things that you're looking for, or maybe some flags that you see when agencies come to you?
Yeah, this is a hard one, honestly. I think it takes some reflection on the agency owner side to really sit down and say, okay, what does my business need the most right now? Sometimes a flag that we look out for is agencies coming to us and they feel like they need to plug holes everywhere, whether it's project management, and then it's also having an EA and having a CAM and having a salesperson and a strategist. And they're kind of hoping that this CAM will be able to fill all these holes. But in reality, that's not how we work. And it's not going to be an effective use of an account manager's time to be trying to fill all of these gaps. So I think sitting down and really asking yourself, what are the things that are keeping me in the day-to-day? The answer might be something like strategy. Maybe you're still the main strategist and you're okay with holding those client relationships. So maybe you need to hire a strategist first. And then you get to the point where it's like, okay, now I can pass over these relationships. For some people, it's different. For some people, it's the texts from clients, the emails, the trying to keep up with the updates, trying to keep them happy. That is weighing them down. And the strategy is the fun part. And that's what they really love doing. So it depends where you're coming from, but I think you really have to ask yourself what feels like the priority right now, because it can't all be the priority.
Absolutely. I think too that, you know, a lot of agency owners, like, they didn't start their business because they want to talk to clients all day. Like, I think Taylor is the only person that I've ever met that just loves account management. It's like, I'm going to start an agency because of this. But otherwise, like, most agency owners, like, they want to do the strategy. They want to build the websites or create the copy or do whatever they're passionate about. But it's not necessarily talking to clients all day, every day, especially getting bogged down in, you know, not the drama, but, you know, the emotional weight of, you know, building those relationships too. Like, that takes a lot. So yeah, definitely getting clear on what does your business need right now. And if that is an account manager, then definitely dive into, you know, what are the facets that you're taking care of right now that you need off of your plate? And what does that look like? Because maybe it is just an EA that you need to help manage your inbox. Maybe it's a project manager specifically to make sure that your team is running the way that they should be, getting the deliverables done. But if it's that client relationship building that needs to be done, if you have a lot of clients that feel like they're not getting enough attention, or even as an agency owner, just feeling like you're not giving enough attention to your clients, and that weighs a lot on you too. So getting clear on what those next steps are for your business and for your clients and your team is really important to know where you can take some things off of your plate that's going to make the biggest impact.
Totally. Yeah. And even for me, I love talking to clients. You both love talking to clients, but none of us could spend all day talking to clients. Like, and you have to really be clear on where your business is going and what you want it to look like.
Yeah.
And any big business, if you're growing and scaling an agency, you can't be talking to clients all day. It's just not realistic. And so I think that is key when planning when to bring in an account manager is, how big do you want this to be?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Because you're going to get in your own way at some point. So where do you see that point, I guess, is when is it, okay, you need to bring an account manager now because it's getting in the way of growing your business? Where is that point, do you see?
Well, definitely as an agency owner, if you're not able to touch all the hats that you're wearing, you definitely need to bring someone in.
Yeah.
But specifically for an account manager is that relationship building piece, right? And if you have a lot of client onboardings, right? If you just signed a lot of contracts because you're a thriving agency owner and you're just ready for that, then having a lot of new onboarding clients, that takes a lot more work than clients that have been around for a long time, that you understand their strategy, you understand the client themselves, but having newer clients come on that aren't familiar with your processes, getting that access from them, maybe some, copy creative, understanding their brand, even getting that information is something that takes a lot of time from agency owners and from the team too. So having someone that can be dedicated to those onboardings is really important. So looking at something like that is a good key indicator that you need to bring on an account manager, but also looking at the operations of your agency as a whole. Sometimes you see that, maybe you do need a media buyer, or maybe you do need a web designer or something before you need an account manager. But if you have everyone staffed and clients need to be more of a focus for your business, then you definitely need to be investing in someone for that seat to make sure that there's retention and the relationships are built correctly.
Yeah. I would say too, definitely looking at onboarding is important. I think a lot of agencies that come to us, they are starting to see growth and they're seeing, projections of clients joining their agency months down the line. And I feel like that's the perfect time to bring us on because we have time to really look at onboarding processes, making sure that client has a really good experience and first impression. That's everything. When it comes to clients is setting them up for success from the beginning, saying we have this dedicated person and really having somebody own that relationship. So I would say definitely looking at that. If you're projecting that you're going to be bringing on clients soon, you're already probably a day too late to bring us on, to be honest. So that's huge.
Yeah. Where I always recommend to agency owners is when you can't grow your agency anymore because you're bogged down.
Yeah.
If you're the bottleneck, and you can't bring on another client because it's just going to be the tipping point, well, then you're probably 2 clients too late.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So if
that's okay, we can fix that.
Yeah,
we can fix that.
It's okay. But you have to really be strategically looking ahead and saying, okay, where am I pacing?
Yeah.
And if it's going to stunt your growth, maybe you want to stay at that size. That's cool.
Yeah.
But if you do want to grow, you have to make sure you're pacing ahead.
Yeah. Even just that little bit more. I think when we have conversations about scaling, people think about 10xing their business.
Yeah.
But that's not everybody, Some people just want to double where they're at, have maybe a few more clients. But if bringing that person on is going to enable you to do just that, then it's worth it. 100%.
Absolutely.
So how many, and I know this is the number one question from agency owners, how many clients can an account manager manage?
I know the answer everyone wants.
We don't know.
The answer everyone wants is all of them. Yeah. But that's not possible. No. Maybe, if you've got a smaller client size, potentially. I mean, but it really depends on, the goals of the relationships that you want to build with these clients and what their scope is, and even them as individuals and your team also, how they're project managed. If you have a team that maybe needs a little more encouragement to get some things done by certain deadlines. We see that. That's, a real thing that happens. And if you need someone to project manage people a little more heavily, then you have to consider that too inside of that account. If you have a strategist, for example, that might need a little more encouragement, then that's going to take up more time when it comes to project management that the account manager might be doing. So there's a lot of factors that really go in. So to Jill's point, it's not an easy formula to figure out, but we do kind of have a little bit of one.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah. You know what? There's a level of trust in this for sure. I think the first thing you should do as an agency owner is sit down, look at on paper what needs to happen in order for you to bring an account manager on. So if it's your account manager managing 10 clients, that makes sense to cover their salary, then you know that that's your starting point. The truth is, no agency owner likes to hear this, but it's true. Every agency is so different. So there's no catch-all number that applies to everyone. What we can say is that the way that we operate, we like to go in, start onboarding, and really develop what that client load looks like. And then we have a good sense of, okay, this is what we can handle moving forwards. This is maybe what needs to come off of our plate. This is what the strategist should be doing. This is what the media buyer should be doing. And really like honing in on our zone of genius. But that takes time. I would say it takes about a month for us to kind of really understand that. But it doesn't hurt to go to your account manager and say, look, ideally you're handling this many clients in my agency. That way they have that in the back of their head and they're working towards that. Yeah, it takes time. It does.
What's the most number of clients you've seen an account manager work with?
I've seen over 100.
Yeah,
for
I've seen
sure.
over 100, like on a fractional basis, but they're very low touch clients.
Yeah.
They might have like an email newsletter that goes out like once a month.
Yeah.
So it's not a heavy workload to be following up with them. It's easy to manage, easy to remember what's going on, especially having everything updated in a project management tool really helps to be able to take on more. Having those automations do help. But yeah, over 100 I've seen max, and minimum 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that can take up like a full-time workload sometimes if you have one client that has every single service.
Yeah.
Right. You need that dedicated time to make sure that everything goes well for that client.
There's so many factors.
Yeah.
Call cadence, expectations of touching base with that client, how often you want that to happen, how active the clients are in terms of like following up and getting assets. Sometimes a lot of the account manager's job is just chasing clients.
Yeah.
So understanding how responsive they are. If there's a project manager on the team, or if the account manager is going to be doing the project management, how many internal team meetings you have.
Yes.
There's so many things to consider. So part of what we do is we have a framework audit that we walk through with all of our agencies to kind of understand like, okay, where are you starting now, not just with account management, but with your whole agency? So we can understand from the beginning, okay, these team meetings internally are going to take up a lot of time. And this isn't something that we have to discover a month into working with each other.
Yeah.
So we do sort of that discovery to understand exactly what we're going to be focusing our time on. But yeah, it does take time to figure that out for sure.
What would you say the average is for a fractional
Yeah.
account manager across all of your account managers?
A nice like healthy mix of different like tiered clients, so low touch to high touch type clients. On like a fractional basis, like 15 to 20 hours a week. I'd say 10 to 20 would be like inside of that time. So you're also looking at, the internal meetings that you're having to. So it's, your daily stand-ups or even just your Monday stand-ups.
Yeah.
Updating reports. Like reporting is something sometimes we forget when not we forget, but is forgotten when you're thinking about, what actually goes into the work sometimes. But yeah, like 10 to 20 sometimes, but it does really depend on the client themselves, like how much time they need, but 10 to 20 on a fractional basis.
Yeah, I was going to
be
say
possible.
probably 5 to 30.
Oh, see,
Honestly.
it's even between us.
Could be
it's-
one
it's-
though, like we said.
Yeah, it
I
could
have
be
a few
one.
agencies that have one.
Yep. Yeah, I do too.
And that's like been a game changer for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really depends.
And that one, why is it one? Is it because of the scope or the industry?
Yeah, I would say like usually it's industry related. Either like the client has major like international marketing campaigns or super seasonal marketing campaigns, and they need somebody super dedicated and in front of that client, especially if they're paying a huge, 5-figure monthly retainer. It looks that much more impressive to say, here is your person. They're dedicated only to you and they're here to make sure that you're successful with us. Like that goes a really long way.
Yeah. And it's definitely needed when, that one client is spending as much money as they are,
100%.
having all of that work being done for their account. Like you do need someone that is going to be able to spend the time, not just to build a relationship, but make sure that everything is done well.
Yeah.
Interesting. So with the clients that are working with 100 plus, what is that? What kind of industry would that be? Or what type of client would that be?
Like it.
Websites usually, I would say, like maintenance. There's a lot of agencies that we work with that have people on like a simple maintenance retainer. So it can be something as quickly as like, hey, this button stopped working on my website. Can you fix it?
Right.
Yeah. Like a ticket system, essentially.
Right. Like an as needed basis.
Yeah. Not an active call cadence.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like checking in regularly, more of those background clients. But I think even then it's keeping on top of those relationships and making sure that you have somebody that has the bandwidth to be able to respond and action quickly.
Yeah.
And that's why we really encourage agency owners to not overwhelm clients account managers with clients, because they need that space to be able to give everybody that time and attention. Again, you can tier it. You can say these people are the most important for you to prioritize and respond to. But we need to have that mental space and that time in order to give the clients the love that they deserve.
And I think a key thing here is perception is reality for clients too. So if they're not feeling like they have the dedication and time, then, they're not going to be happy, right? No. They're not going to feel like, okay, like this agency really cares about what I'm doing and really has my best interest at heart. So I think that's a really key thing too. When we're thinking about how many clients can someone take on, how many clients can an account manager take on successfully?
Yeah.
Right. You want that strong relationship being built, and that does take time.
It does. Yeah. I would say successfully is the key there.
Yeah.
And that's often where we're having to have tough conversations with agencies is like, yeah, sure, they can handle 50 clients, but can they do it at the gold standard level?
Yeah.
And have, hit all of these key points and make sure that you really see results from working with us. Because anybody can take on 100 clients and, fire out an email and try to keep up.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to build real relationships and support clients so that they stay.
Yeah.
And that takes a certain amount of time and energy and effort. And again, we understand on paper it has to make sense. So tell us what that is and we'll work with you on that.
So what do you see in terms of sales process? How involved are account managers kind of across the board if we're generalizing? And what is their role in the sales process?
In a general perfect world situation, we'd be taking on clients after they've signed the contract. So really we wouldn't be involved in sales, especially like for our team, because, it's something we don't typically do is take care of any facet of sales. But we do sometimes see our CAMs going on to, discovery calls or different sales calls to talk about the onboarding process, to start building that relationship with those new clients coming in. And that's an important part of the relationship building too, because it is that first impression. So sometimes we can see that. We have sometimes I've seen some admin support for sales, booking those discovery calls, nurturing those leads, starting to build that relationship. And that's an important piece too, especially when we do take them on, we already have that relationship built. So it really creates a stronger bond between the client and the agency.
Yeah, I would echo that. I would say like what your account manager can do that would be beneficial in that process is helping the client understand what the journey will look like. I think often like agencies are really good at, especially agency owners, they can sell what they do because they know it best and they're good at it. So that's great. We've gotten to that point, but what's next? And I think that's often where clients get lost is the foresight of what's happening next. So I think work with your account manager to share even before the contract is signed, like, hey, this is what it actually looks like to work with us. Sometimes our account managers will handle that contract signing process as well, especially if it involves a lot of follow-up and a lot of chasing. And you want to make sure that you show up, well in that process because you're trying to get that client to work with you. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having the CAM involved in that process as well. But definitely once they've signed, once they're officially a client, you want to move that relationship over to the account manager.
And how much, so oftentimes the strategy happens on that sales call.
Yeah.
And then that has to get transferred over to the account manager. How much is the account manager involved in the strategy from the beginning and then throughout the relationship? Do you guys see?
Yeah, it's hard. That's hard to say. I would say from my perspective, what I think the role of a really good account manager is to own that strategy for the client. So it's making sure that whatever those conversations happened on the sales call, whatever was said, gets translated to the team that are actually fulfilling that thing. It's our job to make sure that we check all those boxes, that nothing was forgotten. I feel like we've all had nightmare scenarios with clients where they're like, didn't we talk about that on the sales call? A year later, you're like,
let me go review that call recording.
Go take a look. So I feel like it's really an account manager's job to own that and make sure that the client is getting what they came to the agency for, reminding the strategist, reminding the people that are fulfilling day to day, like, hey, this is the overarching goal. Let's not forget that, especially when you have people that are so in the weeds of managing the campaigns or executing the project or whatever it is. The account manager's job is really to keep that vision alive of why the client is here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a testament also to, attention to detail when building relationships, right? Remembering the small details, right?
Yeah.
Like that's something that, we really focus on with all of our account managers at DOT is, we want to build that relationship, remembering the small details about the client themselves, but about, what's going on with their strategy, right? And like you said, Jill, like owning that strategy piece and being able to follow it through after the client is onboarded and we're in that maintenance ongoing mode with them. Because we don't want to get to that point that they're like, oh, remember the sales call? Like, where was that? So yeah, we definitely want to make sure that all of those details are carried over. And it's a huge part of building that strong relationship and trust with the client from the very beginning.
And so oftentimes when I'm chatting with agency owners, they get a little confused about who's responsible for strategy because, we come in and say, we're not the strategist.
Yeah.
Where is that line? And how would you describe it? So maybe it's clear for an agency owner who doesn't fully understand, okay, who's doing the strategy and what does that even mean to you?
Yeah. I would say the way that we define it is strategic decisions and building out strategy is not something that is within our scope because we need to, again, have the mental space to be able to focus on the client. So if we're back hiding behind our laptop, plugging in strategy, that's not focusing on the clients. Yeah. We're really there to keep the strategy top of mind. Again, remind the team this is what we're doing and having that strategic direction. A lot of account managers, all of our account managers have marketing experience. So there are moments when they'll say, guys, we should try this. Have we thought of this? And that's just natural. Like we're working in marketing agencies, so that's going to come up. But ultimately, it's again about having the right people in the right seats. You want it to be super clear what the goal of having an account manager on your team is. And if you feel like you need somebody to provide strategic direction, then you might need to be looking at a strategist, even fractionally, just to start.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's a few agencies that have kind of come into our orbit a few times that, they define account manager as the strategist. Yeah. Right. So I think getting clear on, like you said, Jill, like what that actually looks like inside of your business. If someone who owns the entire account does do the strategy, then that is exactly what works for your business. Yeah. But you do need to be clear on, scope, especially if you want that relationship building piece to be, at the forefront for retention. Because we see sometimes that even if results are great, clients still leave because they don't have a strong relationship built with the agency. So you have to think about what does your business need and what you want that position to really look like. So for success, really.
And do you see most agency owners staying in that strategy seat?
I would say usually that's where they stay the longest. They're usually happier to pass over client relationships, to have somebody focused and dedicated to that because there's a lot that needs to happen there proactively and intentionally, which I think a lot of agency owners get overwhelmed with that because they're just trying to keep up. Yeah. You can't just keep up in account management. You have to be ahead of the curve. Yeah. So often it is that strategic piece, I think that they hang on to. But once they're able to step outside of that and even just provide strategic direction to the strategists instead of to the clients, then they're able to focus on business development, sales, the other things that they just like doing versus
and should be doing.
And should be doing. Exactly. So I think often if you can get out of that seat of having to be there, I think that's the difference. Wanting to be there, excited to be talking about strategy versus like, I have to do this for the client. There's no one else to do it.
It's kind of like that 80-20, right? Like right now you're doing 100%. You're talking to the clients and strategy. If you can get to that 20%, which is strategy, 80% is being done by your account manager. Yeah. It's kind of the perfect next step. And that's kind of where we want to get to. That's super helpful. So anyone maybe that's listening as an agency owner and they're thinking, okay, I know that I really want to bring this person in, but I don't know kind of how many clients they're going to manage, what the ROI is. What would you recommend they do?
Yeah, I would say sit down, tier your clients, understand which clients are the most valuable to me. Who do I need my account manager to be managing, making sure that it makes sense on paper first. We don't want to be stuck in a scenario where you have 30 clients and your account manager is overwhelmed handling 5, because that's not going to make sense on paper. So look at what maybe the maximum and the minimum amount of clients you want them handling is. And then just make sure that you're proactively checking in on that and you're communicating that to your account manager as well. Let me know when you're overwhelmed. Let me know maybe when you're at that 80%, so I can forecast, okay, I can give you this many more clients or whatever that is. I think our team is really good at that, our account managers, because they work fractionally. So they're constantly checking in on capacity and letting their agency owners know. But setting up that sort of expectation with your account manager that, hey, you can let me know when you're overwhelmed. You can let me know when you can take on more.
Yeah, I think just to echo everything that you said, it's really about getting intentional about what the position actually looks like and how you're handling those clients.
And we can chat with you about that too. You know, if you reach out, that's kind of part of our process. You know,
100%.
we want to work with agencies where we feel like we can really help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Always.
so that's kind of how we start those conversations is what do you need? Where are you going? And how can we help right now? Potentially now, maybe it's in a year.
Yeah.
But definitely reach out to us if you want to have that conversation.
And we do see inside of a lot of different agencies.
We do.
So we do have ideas. We do have suggestions, things that maybe you can try, take away, a little bit of homework, come back to us, see how it worked.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you for this insight. Hopefully it's helpful. I know getting into the nitty gritty is really important for agency owners, and really having these calculations and things to think about is really helpful, especially as they're planning for what to do this year and when to bring on an account manager. But thank you. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, definitely reach out, DM us, and we'd be happy to kind of guide you through these conversations as well.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers to happy clients.